Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Southampton Town Board to order on this 26th day of June, 2018. Please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And let's join together briefly in silence as we keep in our thoughts and prayers all of the brave men and women of uniform of our various offices, branches of our military, fighting around the world in defense of our freedoms. Let's keep them in our prayers. Okay, please be seated. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Absolutely. Supervisor Schneiderman.
Present.
Councilwoman Lofstad.
Here.
Councilwoman Scalera.
Here.
Councilman Bouvier.
Here.
Councilman Scavone.
Here.
All right, thank you, Sandy. I'll make, all right, so let me make a motion to approve the regular town board meeting minutes of June 12th, 2018.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved. Okay, Madam Clerk, would you read the communications?
The following communications have been received in the office of the town clerk. We have received public notices from the Department of the Army, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, permit applications for Old Point Road, Village of Quogue, and Dune Road, Village of West Hampton Beach. Town of East Hampton public hearing notices, Town of Riverhead public hearing notices, and Village of Sag Harbor public hearing notice. From the Village of Southampton, a zoning board of appeals adjoining neighbor notification for Lee Avenue, Southampton Village, and Meadow Lane. Liquor license applications and renewals from the listed entities and financial disclosure statements from the listed individuals. We have received letters and emails regarding the following: Franca event at Bayview Pines Beach in Riverside, and the Hampton Bays Volunteer Ambulance, LOSAP. The following bid opening took place: a request for proposal for the timekeeping software, June 21st, 2018. And that concludes this, the communications for this meeting's agenda.
All right, thank you, Cindy. Would you read the first public hearing notice?
Absolutely. Public hearing number 1, to consider amending Town Code Chapter 312, Vehicle and Traffic, to exclude trucks over 10,000 pounds from using River Avenue Eastport.
All right, we have Tom Neely, our Director of Intermodal Transportation, here to introduce this.
Thank you, Supervisor. Councilman Scavone might want to say a few words about the
Sure,
river.
traffic safety and intermodal transportation, right?
This was a request from the highway superintendent, and currently there is an MTA bridge that goes over a railroad track on River Avenue, and there have been trucks that have been using River Avenue to get down to South Bay Avenue as a bit of a shortcut. It's really not a shortcut, but there's traffic there anyway. The bridge is not in good shape. It is in, I believe, it's in need of repair. What we would be doing is just to codify the 5-ton sign by putting no vehicles over 10,000 pounds, to possibly station a police officer there if we wanted to do that, or if the neighbors wanted to do that, or God forbid if something were to happen there, we could actually issue a summons for that. It's also designed to keep the truck traffic off of River and keep it where it really belongs on South Bay. A lot of people are going down to a marina on South Bay, and they're using River as a shortcut. So we're trying to not have them use the railroad bridge, which really is not in good shape.
Mr. Neely, do you want to add to that?
Just, again, to say that the highway superintendent did send a memo requesting this be done, and that was shared with the board. It's in your packet. And this is, excuse me, River Avenue, and this is the overpass over the railroad tracks that is
So
in.
Alex is supporting this.
Yeah, he requested it. And we have the memo there.
Okay. Any questions from the board for Mr. Neely? All right, thank you. Is there anyone who wishes to be heard on this public hearing? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, Madam Clerk, number 2.
Mr. Supervisor, Tom Neely has asked if we open the next 2 hearings together.
Okay,
That's
would you read
acceptable?
the second and third public hearing notice, and we'll do them as one.
Public hearing number 2, to consider amending Town Code, Chapter 312-12, Vehicles and Traffic, to authorize removal of stop signs on Scuttle Hole Road at its intersection with Millstone Road. And public hearing number 3, to consider amending Town Code, Chapter 312-72, Vehicles and Traffic, to prohibit left turns from Millstone Road onto Scuttle Hole Road.
Okay, and Mr. Neely, our Director of Traffic Safety and Intermodal Transportation,
That's it.
will introduce us.
So we're having both public hearings together, correct? Okay.
Yes.
All right. This hearing involves LKMA McLean Engineering was asked to evaluate the stop signs at the Millstone and Scuttle Hole intersection with regard to the necessity of two east-west stop signs at this intersection. There's a westbound one here and an eastbound one there. McLean, LKMA, had done the original roundabout design immediately to the west, and as part of that, 10 years ago, they had authorized or, requested, recommended that those be put in. 10 years later, we asked them to go back and look at that again. So they looked at the stop signs. They do not feel they are warranted, so they are supporting the recommendation of removing the eastbound and westbound stop sign at Millstone. They also recommend that we remove, or that we authorize, a no left turn restriction coming south on Millstone. So vehicles coming down here would not be able to make the left out. They still could make the right out, but they would not make the left out. And vehicles that wanted to make that left could do so from Geyer Road, make the left.
And that's a safer place to make the left?
Right. The line of sight seems to be very adequate there. Again, McLean Engineering reviewed all of this for us. They've looked at the accidents, they've looked at the traffic pattern.
I suppose if they were concerned about making that left, they could make a right and go to the roundabout and loop back.
That's a very good option as well. That's right. And so McLean has put these recommendations with regard to the signage. There would be a number of both advisory signs and regulatory signs. The advisory signs directing people to go to here to make the left, although, again, that option is very good to go down to the roundabout and turn around. New traffic pattern ahead signs, which is, pretty common when you make changes in road regulations or road design, and a couple of regulatory signs prohibiting the lefts out of Millstone.
We've been talking about this for a long time now.
Yes.
I went out there with the highway superintendent and the police.
We had a meeting here about it, yeah, and
And, clearly there's a problem because I can't tell you how many times that roundabout hasn't been moving because the stop sign is so close to the exit of the roundabout that it backs up into the roundabout.
Right.
And the idea of the roundabout is to keep traffic flowing.
Right.
I remember when a traffic safety engineer from the county saw that stop sign and said, why is there a stop sign so close to that roundabout? It doesn't make any sense. You're defeating the purpose of your roundabout.
Right.
And I thought about it, and, there is it does, to me, it makes sense to get rid of it and let the traffic flow along Scuttle Hole Road. We did get a letter from the highway superintendent saying that timing, we probably shouldn't make the change in the, this time of year. We should maybe do it in the fall and let people get used to it. I think that's a good suggestion, potentially.
He also mentions the previous LKMA notice from 17. Does that Ray Tobias also did in his asking us not to do this? He does predominantly say the time of year, but he also sends us to this memo that we got previously.
What year was it?
2017. That was done
No,
by the same person that just did this. What's the decision?
that letter supports removing the stop signs.
I said this.
The LKMA letter, December 29th, it should be in
Yeah.
your packet.
Yep, that's
Right.
what I'm looking at.
Right.
And then we have this one that says the same thing. So why is Alex referring to it in support of his opposition?
I was not,
Right, he said timing, but he also
Right.
points to other things that are in here. I'm just trying to figure that out.
which, with regard to the timing, I had discussed that with
makes sense.
Ray Tobias, and we agreed the fall would be better. So in fact, we're having the public hearing tonight, but there's no notice of adoption. I had planned to put the notice of adoption on for the end of July or beginning of August, which would then kind of time right into actually installing it in September. So that, we were all, pretty much on the same page on.
Right.
I got the highway superintendent's letter forwarded to me. I was not included on the original distribution. He, I think, talks about some concerns about trucks being able to enter the road.
He seems to be referring to prior comments that were made in another memo, and maybe it wasn't this one, I don't know. But just before, since we're not adopting this anyway tonight, if you could just
Right.
look at those to make sure that we're addressing those properly.
Right. I thought exactly that. We would, I'll review this. I don't know if he's actually shared this with McLean Associates. When I got it this afternoon, I forwarded it to Ray Tobias to ask him to, and said,
And they're
we're going to want to
also-
talk about it.
Their company, LK McLean or McLean Associates,
Right.
they're also doing that whole study in Bridgehampton.
Yes,
You know,
the traffic safety.
traffic
right.
safety, and this was in the study area.
Yes.
So this
yes.
is like kind of like an early recommendation then
It's-
to
it
remove
is-
the stop sign.
Right, it's part of the study area, so we have looked at Scuttle Hole Road as part of that. So yes, I wanted to suggest that.
Confirm it's the
I'll-
timing, that's his
I'll-
only objection, I guess
Right,
is what I'm
I'll
asking.
I'll double
Right.
check
I
that
have no
with them.
objection to delaying implementation to the fall. I
Right.
think that makes good sense
Mm-hmm.
too, that changing the traffic pattern, on July
Well,
4th weekend wouldn't make much sense.
I
a
think
little-
Tom had not seen that original letter, so it gives you
Right.
ample time to speak with the highway superintendent.
Right, so I'll talk to Ray Tobias and review the highway superintendent's comments with him to make sure, he's still comfortable with his original recommendation.
I have a quick question. How far up the road from the Millstone intersection is the traffic circle?
About
100 yards?
50 or 100 feet west of where that picture.
So like less than a minute's travel time?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
And how about if it's really crowded?
Well, as the supervisor pointed out, one of the issues that has happened at peak times is that eastbound stop sign actually backs traffic up into the roundabout. And the police have actually pointed that out as well, that they find there's,
It's a real problem, because there are
Right.
people coming up Mitchell Lane, trying to head west, can't do it. They get stuck on Mitchell Lane, and it backs up all the way down Mitchell Lane.
Well, I'm just thinking that it's always safer to make a right. So if you do, like you suggested, make a right out of there, go around the roundabout, it's not going to take you
Right.
20 minutes. It's going to take you maybe a minute or two.
right. I think that's a very good, option.
Oh, yeah, it's very quick. It's
100
feet away.
Right.
Thank you.
So
I don't read any opposition in the highway superintendent's memo to the clerk.
He refers to a memo of LK McLean, other points
I
in
mean,
there.
I read it, I only really picked up his opposition to the timing,
Right.
not to the removal of the, not
Right.
to the plan.
So I just want confirmation that the other points that he makes referencing.
Okay, as
to the
liaisons,
other-
I'll call the highway superintendent, ask him
Anybody
as
can do
well
Sure.
to clarify his memo
sure.
That'd be
as to
great.
his position.
And we'll,
We
I'll
went out there with him, and he
Right.
didn't seem to have any objection to it.
We actually had a meeting here, I think it was one of the kickoff meetings for the traffic safety maybe. We had a meeting here, all of us, and discussed it, and then we all went out on site a couple of months after that, I think, to go look at it, and
You
there were no
pulled some
comments.
traffic, you pulled some traffic safety data, didn't you?
Yes, we did, as part of McLean's review, I accessed the state accident database, which is the standard for, any traffic engineering review. I've sent all of the accident summaries for basically everything you see in that aerial. There were 2 accidents at that particular intersection. Both of them were rear-end accidents on Scuttle Hole Road, my conclusion, which matched Ray Tobias's conclusion, was that they were probably rear-end accidents at a stop sign.
Right,
One of
'cause
the,
you don't expect that stop sign driving down Scuttle Hole Road.
right,
When
and
did we
it
do the roundabout? What year was that? Do you
was
remember?
around 2007,
Nancy
something like
Pelosi.
that.
Were the stop signs there before
No.
that, or they were
No.
added at the same
They-
time?
They put them in at that time, and I remember, discussing, that was one of those that and it was the same company.
No, I heard it was like a
So
50,
since
there was a debate whether they were
Since
needed or
20
not. It
something.
was like 50/50, and
It was like a judgment call, they said, and now we've had 10 years of experience with it, and they seem to feel they're not
Time flies.
necessary.
I don't think
Feels
that they're
like
necessary. I
yesterday.
think they're more problematic than anything.
Well, we're gonna find out.
So, yeah, look, if you end up doing it and it's a problem, you can go back, I guess, and put them back in.
I mean, as you know, that is, one of the indicators always used to see if you have a problem on a road or at an intersection is any kind of accident history. You always kind of look at what's happened there to tell you whether you have a problem. So those were the only two accidents at that intersection were rear ends at the stop sign, so.
Okay.
Thanks,
I
Tom.
think we can close this. Is there any, well, let me see if there's anybody here from the public. Anybody who wishes to be heard? Seeing none, yeah, you comfortable closing it?
Just need to close them individually.
Okay, so let me make a motion to close public hearing number 2,
Second?
seconded by Councilman Scavone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And now I'll make a motion to close number 3,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Scavone, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that concludes our public hearings this evening. We move on to public portion. Mr. Dunn is here. John Dunn would like to speak. Sir, you'll have 3 minutes to make your comments known. The clerk will let you know when you're down to your last 30 seconds.
I have two versions, 3 minutes and 4.5 minutes, so you get the 3-minute version.
All right, good to see you.
Thank you for the courtesy of appearing before the board. I want to bring to your attention problems with the wetlands permitting process. I want to preface my presentation. First, I love the beauty of the East End, and I support efforts to preserve it. Second, my comments are not directed at any individuals at the Environmental Division. They're just doing their jobs, and they do them well. My remarks are directed solely to the environmental permitting process. I'm a homeowner in Hampton Bays for about 1.5 years. It's not possible to condense the 9 months of torture I was just put through in 3 minutes, but I'll hit the highlights. 2 contractors who gave me price quotes said to just build a deck and forget about the permit. Having just finished 40 years in the FDNY, I do things the right way, so last September I went to Town Hall to file for a building permit and was promptly told that my house is in the wetlands and I needed to file an environmental permit. I thought it was just paperwork. I then received a letter from Environmental directing me to comply with their buffer mitigation. Since my 110 feet long rear fence, built over 18 years ago and had been through 2 home closings, was built after 1993, it required an environmental permit. And since none was issued, the fence was illegal. I was then directed to relocate my rear fence landward 26 feet, move my shed and an adjacent fenced-in compost heap 26 feet, move my swing set 26 feet, remove 26 feet of my lawn, and also remove the sprinklers from the buffer area that I just spent a lot of money for, and finally to replant the buffer area with native vegetation. I was very upset with this directive, particularly because 26 feet would have resulted in a loss of 1/3 of my backyard, and the fence was my property line that I need to protect my granddaughters. If the yard were 1/3 smaller, I wouldn't even have bought this house. So I requested and was granted a public hearing. In that presentation, I offered a 12-foot buffer alternative, since I had been told that the Conservation Board never goes...
I'm sorry, just, you had a public hearing in front of the Conservation Board, is that correct?
Yes.
Apologize.
Is that on my time?
No.
Yeah, I'll give you a little at the end.
In my presentation, I offered a 12-foot buffer alternative, since I had been told the Conservation Board never goes from 26 feet to 0 feet. My presentation must have been convincing, since the Conservation Board, very luckily for me, from what I was told, reduced the buffer size down to 15 feet, which I accepted and then received the conditional approval for. To date, I have spent over $11,260 to comply with that buffer mitigation mandate, and I'm not finished. Since I am restricting from using wood with preservatives, and because green hardwood costs 5 times the price, deck framing that should have cost around $700 will now cost me over $3,500. The remainder of the deck materials will cost over $5,000. Add to this the $5,000 for the contractor, and add to that the conservative total of $12,000 that will have been spent pre-deck on the buffer. A 12 by 13-foot deck will end up costing me over $25,000. The Conservation Board makes decisions and renders edicts without regard to their cost or the incredible difficulty in implementing them. My buffer is 15 feet deep by 110 feet long, and I can no longer legally even walk in it. So in effect, the town of Southampton has appropriated 1,650 square feet of my property and caused my property value assessment to be reduced by $22,000. In conclusion, I believe my deck improvement, replacing what is already there, and the minimal size difference is so negligible that discretion and common sense should have been exercised in this case, and I should have been simply permitted to go ahead and build this small deck. This 9-month torturous ordeal was unnecessary, overreaching, unfair, and injurious to me emotionally and financially. What was accomplished? My answer is that I have secured a rental permit, and I'm so disgusted I'm seriously considering selling my house and moving out of Hampton Bays. Thank you very much. I have photos that illustrate what I've said, and I also have price quotes of the numbers that I gave, and I also have list of the expenditures for each of you, if you'd like to see them.
Or you can give them to the town clerk.
All right, if you just
Thank
look at these few photos, you see the size of the,
Mr. Dunn, did you have a deck, I just want to be clear, did you have a deck already that you were replacing?
yeah, I'm
or-
going to show you. This is what's there now. And this is the profile of what's going to replace it.
Looks identical.
No, you have to look at the little sticks. That's the,
Oh,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Where
I'm
the,
sorry.
The
I'm like
reflectors
a-
mark the dimensions of what's going to replace that.
Okay.
And this shows the size difference. It's 6 feet.
Do you want to keep these photos, or you're going to leave those with us?
What do you want to do? You can have them. I've made 50 photos up already. I've had 197 emails, multiple phone calls, and very many personal visits to town hall over the past 9 months. I just got my building permit today,
oh, good.
2 days shy of 9 months. I applied September 28th. You can have all these photos. These show this is my rear fence.
Going to give it.
Wells Road is on the other side of that.
You in a body of water, John, or?
Yeah, where are the wetlands?
Yeah, I'm going to show you, because I can't even see the wetlands. It's, Smith's Creek is very narrow, and it ends 2 houses beyond where my property ends. And I can't even see it, even at high tide, from my ground level of my house.
You must have been within a certain distance that you.
Yes,
were
if
required
you're
to
within
go.
200 feet of the wetlands, which is Smith Creek,
That's chapter 325.
yes, 325, 1993, you need a 100-foot setback. So after I filed my permit, pink flags were tied to the reeds on the other side of Wells Road. I had to get a surveyor come in for another $250 and measure that distance. I had 84 feet. 84 feet.
And there's a road in between you and the.
Yeah, Wells Road, it's in the picture there, yeah. And here, look, this is from my second floor, you can't,
Let's get these all down to Sunday.
Yeah.
and this is what the fence looked like before it was power washed, and I sprayed it with water-based sealant. The fence, it looked brand new.
Were you required to remove the fence or no?
Yeah, I did, I had to remove it, yeah.
And relocate it or just take it out all?
Well, that's the next step. Do I relocate it?
Mr. Dunn, is this your backyard?
Yes.
Looking at you.
That's my rear fence, yes. That's looking at it from my sliders. I was told there were only 5 members of the board, so I only have 5 copies of the expenditures, if you want to look at
The
that.
clerk
There
has
is a
it, so
clerk
they,
will make
she
copies, that's
keeps
why I
it.
asked
they keep
it.
it for us.
Or only 5 members of the
personnel.
board, that was correct.
Oh, so it is correct, yes. And I have the,
The clerk and our town attorney are up at the table with us.
well, at least I had the price quotes. It must be in here.
That's all right.
It's all right. You know what, if you just give it to me, I'll make sure that,
Jim, maybe you can just
I
at some
understand
point,
that,
talk to him and see
I'm sorry,
whether or not.
no, it's okay,
I'll talk
don't
to give my
worry.
card.
That's all right. She's my right
These are
hand.
the estimates of the decking and the framing, and these are the actual expenditures to date.
Okay.
The total is at the top. of
I think,
the page.
we understand that you're not looking for anything from us other than to make us aware that this process happened and this, so to prevent it from happening to somebody else who gets stuck in this process. Right, yeah, step
Yeah,
back
oh,
there.
that's
Either
fine.
way.
It's observed protocol.
You don't want to see this happen to somebody else, all right?
I'm
That's,
threatening you.
Not at all.
No, it's just,
just go behind the mic.
I have to tell you the truth, 40 years in the New York City Fire Department, I retired as a battalion chief. I've never, ever had an experience like this. That it's a tiny deck. Common sense should have prevailed. Leave the fence. I would have done the buffer, but leave the fence. That's my property line. Wells Road is right there. So now I would have to rebuild that fence because there were 18 posts cemented in that have to be replaced by what? By Greenheart. My contractor just told me that those posts alone are $950. I saved the crossbars and the pickets from the fence, and they could be reattached. So I think he wants $850 or maybe $1,000 to do the whole job. So add that to what I've spent already.
Had you cleared that area near the
Yes.
wetlands?
Yes, in fact,
So that was after you purchased this house? You cleared you expanded the backyard?
no, absolutely not. No, I had to comply.
Oh, you bought
He
it,
said he bought it, it went
You
twice.
bought
I bought the half acre of land, and the fence
was there?
was there. Originally, they wanted 26 feet of a buffer, so I would have lost 26 feet of fence on each side and 110 feet along the
Did you
back.
get an updated CO when you purchased?
No, I did not.
Okay. Was there a survey?
Never came up with in fact, wetlands was never mentioned until I went to file for a permit. I had no idea it was
So
even
then
in the
when
wetland.
you got into this process, it popped up that you had a fence and some clearing in a location that you would needed a permit to place it.
What happened was.
So in this, when you came in for the deck, they used that opportunity to legalize what happened in the back, even though you hadn't done it, the person before you or whatever, somebody
They didn't even
earlier.
know about it.
Right, you had no idea that there was.
No, I had no idea. The house went through
Clearing
two
that-
closings and it never came up.
Was there a permit for the
fact-
fence, or there wasn't a permit?
Well, after I finished my presentation, the first thing I was told, and I have a CD, was, everything you said is irrelevant. We would have never given anybody a permit to build that fence. Well, I figured I'm shot down already. And then he said, are you using town water? I said, yes. He said, oh, so you're using water that people could be drinking to water your lawn. I'm like,
Yeah?
what do we flush our toilets with? And then he suggested you should get a shallow well. The water is polluted, but it's okay for the grass. So now I'm going to put polluted water on the grass I just told you my granddaughters are going to be walking on. And, I don't know. After the flags were posted, somebody came out from environmental and consulted historical maps and saw that the fence was built after 1993, which made it illegal because you needed an environmental permit then.
Right.
So I would have moved the shed, done the buffer, everything else, just leave the fence.
So basically, you come in to get a very modest deck, right, on the back of your house.
Tiny.
And in the process, it becomes apparent that other work was done, not necessarily by you, that needed a permit. So the board says, okay, in consideration of your deck, we need you to fix this other thing, right?
Well, regardless, if I decide, I spoke with environmental, I said, well, I'm not going to build a deck. He says, you still have to do
Still
the
have to
buffer
fix it.
mitigation.
Yeah. Okay.
And what I was told by the chairman at the public meeting was, you're the homeowner, you're left holding the bag. So,
Your hearing is now closed, your application is.
Yeah, you got all your permits.
in fact,
You're building.
the story is, on June 4th, I received a phone call that my paperwork was ready to go to Suffolk County Clerk to be recorded. I went down to Town Hall, the title certificate that cost me $250 was missing. It couldn't be found. So I called the title company and had a copy emailed immediately, right? I went to Suffolk County Clerk, and she looked through my paperwork, she said, I can't accept this. I said, why not? She said, the Declaration of Covenant is not original, I can't accept the copy. So now I had to go back to Southampton, get that, and go back to Riverhead, get it recorded, go back to Town Hall and give them the copy. The next day I get an email that, now the town attorney had reviewed and approved that covenant. I get an email that there are mistakes in the covenant, but I'm not going to bother to redo that now. And because I had made a minor change in the deck to try and save money, instead of putting 2 staircases, I'm just putting 1. I was told that I need a revised survey, which probably would be the 5th survey that I've done. I immediately drove to Town Hall and gave them a revised survey with the new deck that you can't even see. I should have brought a copy of the survey so you can see how tiny the deck is on the survey, and a new copy of the deck plan. So that was everything. And then June 20th, I received my environmental permit. I went across the counter to now get my building permit, and I had all my paperwork. She said, oh, this is fine. Oh, but your shed location doesn't comply with the Southampton Building Code. I said, You've got to be kidding. That's been on the survey for 6 months. This is 5 surveys. It's been there. Environmental approved it. They told me all I needed was a 10-foot a 10-foot setback from the property line. It's 11 feet, and it's maybe 12 feet from the fence. I was told I needed 20 feet from the house. So now, so now the shed would have to be moved again.
Did you move it, or you get a variance for it, or?
Yes, they approved it.
They did.
And I got
The zoning
permits
board
there.
did?
Pardon me?
The zoning board approved that?
The buildings department.
The building department, okay. Okay.
I had to sign an
All right,
affidavit.
so, all right.
I had to sign an affidavit that my shed location complies with the Southampton building code.
Sir, before you go, could you come over here, please, and just write down the address, the location of the property, because none of that is included here in case anybody wants to look it up or...
All right, well, thank you, John.
Sorry,
I-
Mr.
For the
Don.
courtesy of listening to
What is
me
it? Hey, I hope,
whine and gripe, I'm sure you hear a lot of this stuff. I
listen,
apologize. It's been-
I hope you don't move. I hope you stick around and enjoy that deck, so.
The person that you want to live in Hampton Bays. I've done nothing but,
Just write down here your address
spruce up that house since I got there.
and put your name.
That's a positive
Long
thing.
Island, I keep throwing money.
All right, that's the only card I have. Anybody else who wishes to be heard in public portion?
Just write your name up.
Nobody, no other grievances? All right, I'm gonna make a motion to close public portion.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. We're going to move to town board resolutions. We will start with 643. 643 of 2018. It's co-sponsored with Councilman Schiavone. It authorizes the supervisor to sign contract extensions with Michael Berluski, doing business as JB Property Management as primary vendor, and Quintal Contracting Corporation as secondary vendor for property cleanup to bring properties back into compliance.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Schiavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 2018-644, to authorize the purchase of special pavement markings from the Suffolk County contract with Fenceman Incorporated.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 645 of 18 authorizes the supervisor to sign a contract with Curvature, Inc., formerly known as SMS Systems Maintenance Services, Inc., for hardware maintenance for Town Police Department. Seconded by Councilwoman
I'd like to be a
Scalera.
co-sponsor, if it's okay.
All right, seconded by Councilwoman Scalera, who would also like to be listed as a co-sponsor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 646 authorizes the supervisor to execute a 2018 annual software support and maintenance agreement with HLP, Inc. for Chameleon software products for the animal shelter.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
I'm sorry.
Town Board Resolution 2018-647, to authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement to renew the town's maintenance agreement with Granicus, FKA, Excella for Minitrack and MediaTrack and eBoardroom.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Town
approved.
Board Resolution 2018-648 to authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Robert H. Fox, DBA, at sea level mapping for hydrographic survey of Honeypot Pond in Southampton.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scalera. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Resolution 649 is award and authorization for the supervisor to sign a contract for deer fence materials with Trident Enterprises International, Inc.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 218-650, co-sponsored with Councilwoman Lofstad, to authorize the supervisor to sign the satisfaction of mortgage on a community development block grant home improvement loan.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 651 of 18 accepts 2017 audited financial statements from Naraki Smith LLP for the town of Southampton, and authorized town clerk to publish notice of 2017 financial report.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scalera. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved. 652 accepts the December 31st, 2017 Community Preservation Fund audit from Cullen and Danowski LLP for the town of Southampton, and authorize the town clerk to publish notice of the Community Preservation Fund financial statements and independent auditor's report.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. 653 of 18 accepts payments and payment and amends the 18 adopted budget for police overtime.
I'm going to second that, and just on the motion, that's just a preliminary. There's more checks that are coming in. Second.
Okay, so it's seconded by Councilwoman Scalera. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. 654 amends the 18 adopted budget for building and zoning division overtime.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor? Aye. Approved. 655 amends the 18 adopted budget for general services.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. 656 amends the 18 adopted budget for Youth Bureau.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. 657 amends the 18 adopted budget for CTV.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. 658 authorizes the supervisor to sign statement of annual financial and operating information and file with the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 218-659 to accept the resignation of Patricia Fallon from the Community Preservation Advisory Board, and just on a personal note, to thank her for her service.
Second.
Second by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Town Board
Approved.
Resolution
Just wanted to
218-660.
say thank you to Patricia.
Oh, I'm
too.
sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Thank you, Patricia. All right, go ahead.
No, any more?
Nope.
Town Board Resolution 218-660 to appoint Craig Catalanoto to the Community Preservation Fund Advisory Board.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scalera. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and on that, that's approved. And also, I want to thank Craig for stepping up to serve on that very important board. So we'll look forward to his service. All right. 661 of 18 appoints Stephen Troy, chairperson of the town's Workplace Violence Prevention Committee.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. 662 retains Stephen L. O'Brien of O'Brien and O'Brien LLP in the matter of Thomas J. Salvatore versus Deborah Renee Brathworth and Gary Weber.
Second.
Gary J. Weber. Seconded by Councilman Scalera. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town
Approved.
Board Resolution 218-663, adopt secret negative declaration to amend Town Code Chapter 330-10 Table of Use Regulations listing pre-existing marinas and boatyards as permitted use in residential districts, and to designate the expansion and renovation of pre-existing marinas and boatyards in residential districts as a special exception use.
Second.
So this is on the secret piece. Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The
Approved.
second part is Town Board Resolution 218-664, resolution of adoption to amend Town Code Chapter 330-10 Table of Use Regulations, listing pre-existing marinas and boatyards as a permitted use in residential districts, and to designate the expansion and renovation of pre-existing marinas and boatyards in residential districts as a special exception use.
Same second.
Second by Councilman Lofstad. Jim, is there a wait period after the secret declaration? Do we have to wait any 10 days or anything?
Neg deck.
It's not
With neg
required.
deck, yeah.
It's a neg deck?
And it was
Okay.
only for the
So it
15th.
is ripe then? It can be voted on?
Yes.
Okay, just double checking. So we had a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved.
Resolution 665 is a 2018 cost waiver for the Wounded Warrior Project, Soldier Ride of the Hamptons.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Resolution 666 of 2018 authorizes CPF tax refund pursuant to the first-time home buyer's exemption for Justana Bowling.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved.
Resolution 667, 2018 is a release of a maintenance bond in connection with the site plan application of 80 East Montauk Highway in Hampton Bays.
Second.
Second by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. 668 of 18 is the 2018 part-time salaries.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. 669 accepts resignation of Raymond Swanson, laborer.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. 670 accepts retirement of Wayne Tuttle, heavy equipment operator in highway.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let me just, on behalf of the town, thank Wayne Tuttle for his service to our town and wish him best wishes in his retirement. 671 allocates LISC grant funding for additional compensation.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. 672 appoints Brian Lester, Esquire, Special Counsel.
Second.
Second is on a disciplinary hearing. Seconded Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. 673 appoints Robert DeAndrea to Waterways Maintenance Mechanic 2 position in trustees.
Second?
Seconded Councilwoman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. 674 appoints Sage Reneri Certain to audio-visual aid position.
Second.
Second by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Congratulations, Sage.
Thank you. With pleasure.
That's right. All right. Yes, Charlie's son, Sage. All right. 675 reinstates Ronnie Strange to automotive equipment operation position in highway.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Scalera. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved.
Town Board Resolution 218-676, notice of public hearing to consider amending Town Code Chapter 123, Building and Construction to revise the definition of floor area in Article 8, innovative and alternative on-site wastewater treatment systems.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Scalera. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved.
John, this was to address some of the hardships too.
Yeah, it's typically we had people that, wanted to make minor changes to their homes, and it just was an undue burden to do that.
This one is not changing the income
No,
thresholds.
it's not.
That's a
No,
difference.
it's
That's
just, it's a square
different one.
footage.
That's
This is
Floor
how we
area.
calculate floor area.
Yep.
Okay, so I think we voted and approved that one Sunday, so
Yes, you did.
let's move on to
All right.
677.
Town Board Resolution 218-677, notice of public hearing to consider amending Town Code Chapter 177, septic system rebate and incentive program to revisit various provisions of the program, which includes
Oh, this is
increase
the,
in
okay.
There's several provisions there. I can go through it if you'd like.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Let's get a motion to second. You made a motion, I'll second. Go ahead, John.
Well, we changed the income eligibility for 100% of the cost by $20,000, so we increased our rebate from $15,000 to $20,000. We also added, we changed the income eligibility up to a maximum of $1 million income, and that would be 25% of the cost to a maximum of $20,000, and then over $1 million not eligible. Those are the larger,
Oh, so that's a new category, this 25% category?
yes,
Okay. For people making,
1 million or
no,
up
people
to 1
making.
million, between
yeah,
500,000
500,000 and a
1
million of adjusted gross income? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, approved. So 678 is next. Authorizes the supervisor to deliver a purchase option election notice as it relates to the purchase of the Hampton Bays Senior Center.
Second?
Seconded by Councilman Lofstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Town Board Resolution 218-679 to recall and amend Resolution 218-454 road bridge application for Blair Factory in Gaza, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-354-3-30, Situate in West Hampton. And for the town, Ms. Clerk, I'd like to point at the bottom line on page 38, asphalt is incorrectly spelled. Can I do that on the floor, or?
So you need to amend,
And it already
Yeah.
crossed out on the,
if it's just a miss,
Sorry.
Asphalt milling.
yeah, that's a Scribner's error. We don't have to
Oh,
amend
here.
it. I
Just to note that?
spelling error,
Yep.
Scribner's error, yes.
Okay.
Not mine.
Is there a second?
Not yours.
Just
No,
want
I
to be
just caught
clear.
it. It's mine, actually, I think, so.
Is there a second on it?
No.
Second.
Second by Councilman Scavone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I approve. Okay, let's go to the red walk-on packet. There are 5 additional resolutions not in the agenda for consideration. 29697, let's see, it's a 2018 authorization for supervisor to sign contract with East Quogue Chamber of Commerce for East Quogue Revitalization Project. 29701 is the warrant. 29702 is sponsored by Councilman Lofstad. It accepts resignation of Joe Ruggieri from the Hampton Bay Citizens Advisory Committee, 29703. Also sponsored by Councilman Lofstad, accepts resignation of Gail Lombardi from the Hampton Bay Citizens Advisory Committee. 29704 authorizes the supervisor to sign any and all documents accepting the award for a Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Grant in partnership with the Hampton Bays Beautification Association. So I'll make a motion to walk on those 5 resolutions.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Scalera. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Okay, so let's do them one by one. So docket ID 29697, 2018 authorization for supervisor to sign contract with East Quogue Chamber of Commerce for East Quogue Revitalization Project.
On the motion,
Sure.
this is a community service grant, correct? Up to 10,000. Am I,
Not to exceed 10.
not to exceed? All right, thank you.
They wanted 8, right?
This is for landscaping, tree installation, landscaping work at the Village Green in East Quogue. Includes new urns, annual perennials, trees, new flower beds, borders, edging, gravel, and mulching, all in an effort to revitalize the village center. It's not to exceed 10,000.
Second.
All right, it's seconded by Councilman Scalera. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved. All right, 29701, warrant number 12, capital number 12, CPF number 12, and payroll liability.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, approved.
ID 29702, accept resignation of Joseph Ruggieri from the Hampton Bay Citizens Advisory Committee.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, approved.
Thank you, Mr. Ruggieri, for your service. Resolution 29703, accepts the resignation of Gail Lombardi from the Hampton Bay Citizens Advisory Committee.
Second.
All seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And thank you, Ms. Lombardi, for your service as well.
Okay, and lastly, is this the last one? Yep. Authorize, this is 29704, authorizes the supervisor to sign any and all documents accepting the award for a Suffolk County Downtown Revitalization Grant in partnership with the Hampton Bays Beautification Association.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scalera. The organization applied for $100,000 for our comfort station at Good Ground Park, and they received the award, which is great. So there was a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Okay, so that gets us to the end of the agenda. Is there any other business? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Bouvier. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.